I go through a daily routine that has nothing to do with AI. So when I'm operating my most efficient way, it's wake up with prayer, meditation. It's I write in my journal. I stretch. Right, like AI cannot replace replace, replace those things. Right,
Right.
and so when I'm kicking off my day with that, I'm at my best functioning self. And so non-negotiables with, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a question to the group. Is AI involved in meditation and prayer? Like, I don't know, but like, I'm not using it in that way.
I'm sure it's been trained on it, right? Like, so if you could imagine something and you can imagine a book being written on that thing, AI has been trained on that, right? So I'm sure it's been trained on it, right? But at the end of the day, this is the value, right? I can call Drew on Monday morning, Glenn on Tuesday morning, and Dre on Wednesday morning, and ask one question: "What are you thinking, man? What's up with you?" And I'm gonna get 3 different vibes, right? Like, I'm not picking up the phone and calling. To Dre's point earlier about Dre and Glenn both mentioned the relational aspect of it. AI is not doing that, right? So the human component still exists. And yes, to Drew's point, you bond with people just by like picking up the phone. So yeah, for me, it's a scientific tool, man. It's mechanical.
I use it a lot for note taking, so I could go back and check it right after. Like, oh, I kind of missed this, or that wasn't the point. This doesn't need to be in my notes. And this helped me do a lot of my work faster, in making a lot of my work just look better. I have the content. The content hasn't changed, but like for a PowerPoint slide deck, things really just start looking better. So it has made my work better. AI, I wouldn't. There's certain aspects of my life that I don't want to be fully involved in. And just to add on to everything that Glenn or emphasize everything that Glenn just shared, I feel the exact same way. Some stuff I want to make sure I'm just checking myself, double checking myself, and making sure I'm thinking for myself, and I'm not being dependent on a tool.
Laced up my sneakers, hit the road at dawn, chasing better versions of the man I'm becoming on. Every mile I'm driving, every choice I make teaches me the kind of leader I'm trying to shape. Got my people riding with me through the highs and lows, friends and mentors in the seat when the journey slows. Lessons from the ones who paved the way before. I keep them in my glove box like fuel for the road. Sneakers, cars, and leadership, yeah, that's the lane I'm in. Learning how to lead myself before I lead again. From the kicks on my feet to the wheel in my hand, I'm driving with intention through the life I command. Road gets rough, but I stay aligned. Purpose in my chest, vision in my mind. Sneakers, cars, and leadership.
Welcome back to Sneakers, Cars, and Leadership. I'm your host, Dre Hub. And in the lab today is a classic, historic group of fellas. I got Drew with me, I got Glenn, I got Tarek, and hopefully going to have a special guest join later on, but they are here with me today. So everybody's sprinting toward AI like it's a gold rush, but as leaders, we have to ask, if the machine is doing the thinking, who's doing the feeling? If your leadership is just a repeatable algorithm and a software update is coming for your job too, let's talk about how do you build that foundation so that it cannot be automated. And so for my shoes today, I'm going to go with these. Anthony Edwards, the AE1's accent. You got that honeycomb TPC, futuristic, aggressive. It's built for vertical game. Leading in the AI evolution requires that mindset that you have with this shoe. You can't play the old game on the floor. And the AE1 is about being explosive, having that movement, and being totally contained. And for the ride, I don't own one. I don't think I ever buy one, but I do like the technology in it. It's that Bentley Spectra. It's a whole futuristic platform. It's an EV type vehicle. It has the AI type technology with it. That's top-notch craftsmanship from the interior. And so when you think about how we treat our people, it's the only thing that makes the premium experience of how you take care of your people on the inside. So those are my cars I want to talk about today. That's the shoe I want to talk about today. And I'm just going to jump right in. I got these special guys with me, and I'm going to go left to right as I kind of introduce them, let them talk about themselves. But fellas, thank you for joining. Thank you for being on this podcast. I appreciate you. This is years of experience with brotherhood that's been birthed out of a leadership session that we went to, and it just so happens that we all got paired together, and we just been close ever since. Played golf together, spent time together, traveled together. So man, I appreciate you fellas joining. So thank you for being on the podcast today. And so with that, I'll start with Tarek, Glenn, and then Drew. So Tarek, tell the people about yourself.
What's up, y'all? Tariq, I'm based out of DC. Jamaican, born and raised. What else? I'm in business. I love the element of business. I'm also in real estate as well. Love the real estate piece. Happy to be here with the fellas. We synced up COVID, right? Over our MSDO program, and these guys were in a group to themselves, and I was the one guy in a group with all the ladies and whatnot, and the guys was like, "Yo, now we got to bring him over here," So I got pulled in. So, you know what I'm saying? It's been phenomenal. Just syncing with you guys, bonding over the years, growing, talking about everything, just being vulnerable to each other, right? And opening up about our lives. Happy to be here, Dre.
Awesome. Glenn?
Well, Dre, appreciate you for having me and the fellas on the podcast. So I'm Glenn, 18 years, 20 plus years actually in the CPG space, a sales leader, based in Atlanta, but originally from Detroit. What up though for everybody out there? But really excited to be here, Dre, and talk a little bit more about AI and leadership.
Awesome. And last but not least, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Dre. Yeah, it's great to be with you, brothers. After connecting with you in 2020, I'm glad we all stuck together and continued at least on a monthly basis, just connecting with each other. Every time we're in each other's towns, we go visit each other. So it's been great building this relationship with y'all. Born and raised in Connecticut, spent a lot of my professional career down in DC, and back in my home state once again. 15 plus years doing organizational development, and I'm happy to connect with y'all.
Awesome. Well, so Drew, you went last. You're going to get the signature question. So I always ask, two questions. So one, is there a pair of shoes, slippers, whatever, hard bottoms that really tie into your leadership or that's kind of just pivotal to you today, to your leadership style? And the second question is there a ride, one that you've owned in the past, currently, or want to own that's been like pivotal in some type of leadership aspect of your life? So I'll kick it over to you to answer that question, and then we'll kick it over to Tarek and Glenn.
Yeah, I was stressed about these questions right here because I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't consider myself a sneakerhead. But as you said, you talked about a lot of different shoe wear. But when I think about the footwear that I love, it's always been Kohans. Like, once I started, working in management consulting, and then had to get my attire upgraded, and then I was introduced to Kohans. I think this was the one where they had with the Nike soles that came out. And I was like, oh, okay, wow. Dress shoes with Nike soles. And then since then, that's all I would wear is Kohans. And it really just comes from keeping things simple. I mean, I try to not have to think too hard about my attire and what I'm wearing. So anytime it's dress shoes, I go get Kohans. If it's athletic shoes, I'm going to get Adidas. And I just keep it that simple where I don't have to spend too much time, stressing about it. The sneakers I have on right now are the Kyries, just plain black, because when you don't have a wall of sneakers, you have to get something that, can match a lot of different ones. So, plain black Kyries. Keep it simple.
Awesome. Tarek?
You guys know, folks who know me for all these years, right? I'm not even sure how long it's been at this point, but I wear Chucks, right? If you've seen me before, you have seen me in some sort of Chucks, right? Yeah, my son, he has, I don't know, umpteen pairs of Chucks, and he's gone through a couple because he's 6 now, right? And I have them in all the different colors. I typically stick with the navy blue or the black, but taking a step back and just looking at Chucks and how it matched my leadership style is three things, right? It's simplicity, it's versatility, and it's longevity, right? Chucks have been here from whenever it's been here, right? It's been morphed in many different ways, shapes, or forms, but the low chuckers and the high tops, they live forever and they'll be here 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, right? So for me, it's the element of simplicity, versatility, and longevity. And that's what it represents to me. I could put it on with a suit. I could put it on with jeans. I could put it on with shorts. I could put it on I could literally rock it to the beach. I could rock it to the beach, to the club, or to the lounge, or to the speakeasy, and to the office, or to the, to the meeting. So yeah, I'm a Chuck guy, man. And I've been rocking it forever long, and that's what it's gonna be for really for me for the next umpteen years.
Awesome. And Drew, I forgot to let you answer about the ride. So I'll jump back to you to ride, and then Targ ride, and then Glenn, you'll close it out with both.
My favorite car that I had was the Acura 3.2 TL. It was 2000. Yeah, it was the 2000, and it was my first car that I bought. So I was excited about that and the power that it had. I mean, when you accelerated, your head would go back, So I enjoyed that car. But the car that I look at the most when it's out here is probably the Porsche Cayenne. Like when I see that drive by, I look at that one. I would love to get that one very soon.
Awesome. Tarek?
Cars. So funny, funny, Drew. My first car was an Acura RL, right? Yeah, pretty much the same car as the 2000 TL that is. But yeah, it took me for a couple of years, but now when I look at the car that I want, the car today that I would want to just cruise in, it's the Taycan. It's the Porsche Taycan, right? Like that's my ride. That's the car that today, if you walk onto the lot, my pockets are stacked that way. That's what I'm gonna walk off the lot with.
Yes.
But it's a car, right? So I got to get a truck to match, and of course that got to be a fully loaded G wagon. That's that's where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? Over to you,
Awesome.
Lit. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so I'll close this out. So from a sneaker standpoint, much like Drew, but different brand, I'm a Nike guy. So I go Air Jordans and ones. That's where I go. I go ones, highs and lows. I don't touch the mids, Dre. I don't do the mids. But for me, similar to Tarek, where the versatility, right? Like so you can dress up the AJ ones, you can dress them down, you can wear them formal, you can wear them, just on the casual. Right now I have on AJ ones and so or lows, but that's my thing. And then while I shouted out Detroit and I talked about What Up Though a few minutes ago, I'm from the Motor City, but I am not a big car guy. And so the car that I'm going to say is the Chevy Equinox 2012. And the only reason I'm saying that car is because that is the vehicle I purchased myself. I think I have north of 230,000 miles on it. And I'm going to ride that thing until the
That's
wheels
right.
fall off.
That's
Like
right.
I'm just like, that's where I'm at with my car.
That's good. It's funny though, Glenn, as you're talking about, growing up in Detroit and loving Jordans, you didn't feel a certain way, like being because
That popped in my head too.
I'm born and raised in Connecticut, but I love the Pistons. So I felt some way. Like I had a couple of the early Jordans, when I was maybe in fourth grade, fifth grade, or something like that. But after that, I just really felt like I could not wear Jordans because I'm rooting for the Pistons and rooting for Isaiah. So I don't know.
Now, you know what? I might have
Underdog
got
thing.
No, it's a fair point. I might have just been like sucked into like the whole marketing campaign behind Jordan, right? Whether it was the commercials or the shoes. I
Yeah.
wonder why now, like I got cousins and uncles that kind of don't really rock with me. It might have been because of the Jordan affinity. I will say now, for those that know me and see me, they know I pour and bleed Detroit, but like back then I didn't. So yeah, that's actually a good call out, Drew.
So this episode, and I love what everybody shared. I touched on a couple of things, especially when Drew talked about just trying to keep it simple. I have in the past year, and I know we're talking about, AI and leadership today. I actually use AI to help me slim down my closet choices, because I got tired of just spending this time. As far as I grew up, South Side Atlanta, College Park, so it's like stylish and you want to be fly all the time. But I got to that point where it's like, I don't have enough time to be trying to pick, spend all this time trying to pick my outfit out in the morning. Because before, I used to pick my outfit out before, just like I was in school. I'm like, man, I'm a grown ass man. Why am I here trying to pick my clothes out the night before going to work in the morning? And so I actually I say, hey, I want to keep black, grays, whites, or whatever. And I scan my whole closet and scan everything. I said, but the shoes can't go. And so, and it came back and spit me out like, hey, here's 60 outfits that you can pick. And then the other outfits that you have based on different season, put those bad boys in the storage, in a little container, and put them in storage, and then you swap them out. Cause I started to realize I was getting like suffocated because it was so much stuff when it came to like making decisions. And so when you talk about like, hey, just simplify. And so I'm a Nike guy, cause I don't really like to shop, because like once I figure out like there's a fit that's a style, like it's like a shoe for me. So Cole Haans is the shoe, and then it's like Nikes is the sneaker, because I know how my 14 fit, and I know how my 14 will fit in the Cole Haan, and I don't have to go out here and pick and choose and return stuff. So I've kind of gotten that whole phase when you talk about trying to simplify. And I think, Glenn, I appreciate you. That's one thing is that I would go back. I wish I was this guy who was in the cars, and I wish I could have just kept that one car and just kept and just rode it till the wheels fell off. Because, from a financial standpoint, it's probably the worst investment ever. It's a car when you get it over and over. So thank you all for sharing that. I'm going to jump and start with Tark, and we'll go around the horn. But what is people's go-to platform right now? We got DeepSeek, you got Perplexity, you got Gronk, you got Claude, you got ChatGPT, you got all these different LLMs that are out there. And I'm curious, like, what do people go to? Because I started out, and you got Copilot. I started out with like ChatGPT, but I'm starting to like a lot of the updates that Claude is doing. So I am looking to maybe shift, because I'm not trying to get to that point. You think about streaming, you got Hulu, you got Netflix, you got Disney, you got all these different streaming platforms. I feel like that's where AI is getting. It's like, I got a premium platform with Claude, I got Pro with ChatGPT, and I got the premium whatever with Copilot. But how do you get to that one that you want to lock down? So I'm curious, like, what's your go-to like AI platform to navigate through your day? So Tarek, I'll start with you.
No, good question. So, I mean, I think starting out for everyone, it was ChatGPT, right? Because that was the first one that landed on everyone's kind of, in front of us, right, on our tables. So it was ChatGPT. But I work in a world where I'm a bit more exposed to it, right? So I started using pretty much all of the tools. So I started using Perplexity, Claude from Anthropic, Grok from X, Gemini from Google, and as well as Chat GPT and Copilot, right? And the reason why I used it is because I just like the different views in terms of a response, right? Because it then allows it gives me the information, like, it gives me the ability to then kind of independently judge which of these kind of match my personality in terms of how I want to speak, right? And for me, off top, it was just a Claude, right? Claude just had a more refined leadership executive speak, right, or tone in its response, as opposed to all the other tools, right? And not that the other tools weren't good; they were excellent, right? It's just how Claude responded that made me, okay, let me kind of see what this one is about, right? But I've also observed a bit of nuance with it, where, and I don't mean with them, where it's all about what you're researching, right? You'll get certain different responses. So I find value in actually using all the tools, and I probably use Gemini, Grok, and Claude probably equally at this point. Claude probably got a leg up, right? Because of course you got a premium tier, and you got to pay for the premium tier if you really want these tools to work in your favor, right? But those are the three I use a ton. I like ChatGPT because ChatGPT it has market share, right? And because it has market share, it just has a larger view of what individuals are doing. So you get a more nuanced approach with ChatGPT. But I mean, market share has been getting eroded a bit with the evolution of the other tools and how great they are. I've never used DeepSeek. That's just a me thing. I'm probably never going to touch DeepSeek. But yeah, for me, if I were to rank them, it would be Claude, Gemini, and Grok. I mean, of course, then ChatGPT.
Awesome. Glenn?
All right, Dre. So this is where the power of this brotherhood has been impactful for me, right? So you have Tarek, who is by far of our group leading the way. I get the opportunity to hear from him and understand what is happening in this space. I would say from a professional work standpoint, the company I work for, we're integrated with Microsoft. And so Copilot has been my go-to from a work standpoint. And then personally, as Tarek mentioned, I use ChatGPT. But because of the recommendations of this group, I started to mess around with Gronk and some of the other options. And so for me, work-wise, it's Copilot. Personally, ChatGPT.
All right. Drew?
Yeah, I remember, first hearing about ChatGPT and hearing all these doomsday scenarios back in 2023. And I'm always been the person that's, not the first, one of the early adopters of new technology. So I was really hesitant, and I like to keep my information private as well. So I wasn't touching it until, say, like January 2024. I had a mentor who just started pushing me to use ChatGPT. Like, hey, use it, talk to it. And then I started, using it and getting comfortable with ChatGPT first. Then, like as Glenn was saying, it wasn't until we were talking in November, just like 5 months ago, where I just said, okay, all right, I need to know this. I need to know this a lot more. I can't just be this doomsday guy when it comes to worrying about like what is it doing to to our resources, the water, the environment, what jobs are going to be lost and things like that. So I started digging deeper with ChatGPT and learning how to prompt it different ways, adding master prompts, and it had a lot of my information already. So I just want to stay with that one because just don't like to put my information everywhere all the time. But realize Gemini has most of my stuff anyway. Specifically because I use Google Drive. I'm using of course Gmail. Well, I added that one as my second one, and I just been messing with both of those, Gemini and ChatGPT, and just trying to test it out and make it do different things. I mean, I know they're all with generative AI, so like creating images, creating text and audio and things like that. But sometimes I'll just try to get in there. I was telling Target about this a couple of weeks ago. I was trying to go into Gemini and say, hey, look at all my pictures that are in Google Photos and delete the ones that are duplicates. It still can't do that for me yet, but I just been playing with it more often, trying to see what it can do. And my goal really was just I spend at least an hour minimum just trying things within Gemini or chat, like, yeah, for the last 5 months.
Awesome. It looked like we got a special guest that might have popped on.
We do.
I think KP is from Chi-Town. He's in the house. So KP, we're gonna have you jump in, introduce yourself. What's a pair of shoe that's really dear to you? What's a car ride that's dear to you? And then lastly, I'm gonna give you all the questions because you're late. And then the third question would be, what's your go-to platform for AI?
And Dre, fashionably late too. Look, he got the blazer
I
on.
know he got the blazer
yeah.
on. It was like...
Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all something funny. I thought I was early, but I forget it's a time change when you send texts out of what time you want to start versus what time Chicago time is. So actually, I thought I was getting on early. So, secondly, AI failed me because I thought I was watching y'all podcast. I didn't know I was joining the podcast. So yeah, so I'm all over the place, gentlemen. Good to see you, man. Kendall
What's going
Parker.
on?
Man, I love my favorite shoe was those Bo Jacksons that came out. And it's almost like when that shoe came out was when I became a Raider fan immediately, which obviously caused a lot of turmoil amongst friends and family in Chicago. But I remember those Nike Bo Jacksons that I thought were one of the better shoes that came out in my era, my younger era. And I'm attached. I mean, it's funny that Kendrick Lamar brought back the Grand National, but I've always been a fan of the Grand National. We owned one in our family growing up, and it was something that was just dope within. So I'm gonna go with the Bo Jacksons and the Grand National. Hashtag all black everything.
Raider life.
Awesome. All right, so Drew, I'm gonna kick this question to you, and if anybody want to jump in, when as AI today has been very heavily in people's day to day and their leadership and everything and what they're doing, for you, how do you use it to define your Monday morning or how you start off?
I'm thinking the way I show up, on Monday morning,
Yeah.
or get me started.
Or how you plan your
Um,
Monday morning. Like, do you use it to, because I would say, for example, what I've been doing is so at the job that I have, we do have Microsoft and we have Copilot. So I'll have Copilot say, hey, look at all my emails, look at my calendar for the past week. What should I focus on this week? So I'll have it define that piece. But then in personal life, I might use ChatGPT to help me figure out what I need to do as far as planning out for kids. So it's kind of like, how do you think about going into your week starting on Monday?
yeah, there's two ways that I'm using it right now, starting on Mondays. And one is I did put a prompt in through ChatGPT to get at least the top 5 articles around AI that's related to human resources, like how human resources are adopting AI and implementing that. So I get to see, whatever podcasts, videos, articles that are coming out. So it gives me something to uh, just stay on top of the trends. And then the other thing that I'm using it for right now, because I have like 4 different clients that I'm doing work for. So I'm trying to test it. I'm going to find out how well this is working, test it to see if it can uh, do a time card for me based on what I put in my Google Calendar. So those are the 2 things I'm testing out.
All right. Tart, what about you?
So for me, it's really it's there's a learning component, right? And then there's an executional component, right? On the execution side, it's really leveraging Copilot, right? Because that's a lot of what we do internally. My company was fortunate enough to build like a customized digital twin is what we call it, right? That we use internally. It's basically scoping out everything you're doing. So it's like your chief of staff. So I just leverage it to really just give me an update on what I might need to focus on for the week. I'm not yet at the point where I want it to like specifically schedule anything, right? I want to be able to do my schedule, but what I want to see are the top things that I should be thinking about to ensure that they align what's on my mind or what's in my notepad, right? So it's just that alignment. So I leverage AI one for that alignment to know that okay, I'm not missing anything. Everything is where it should be. I'm thinking about it, right? After that, then I can figure out how to deploy it, right? So that's Copilot, and that's our internal um, proprietary tool. On the learning side, though, um, we focus heavily in my current company. We focus heavily on agentic operations and how agentic is gonna help us in terms of, and what that means is just pretty much deploying agents to essentially complete a workflow for you. It might not be the full work stream, right? But it is just, or it might not be the complete workflow, but just a percentage of the work that needs to be done, right? Applying agentic technology to allow you to do that. So for me, it's just about training and learning a bunch of that stuff, right? to be able to have those conversations with like different leaders across just industry. So it's a two-prong approach for me, right? It's the learning component, learning um, a lot of what our engineers internally are doing with agentic to ensure that we could deliver value, and then deploying, our co-pilot and our digital twin to just facilitate and structure my week ahead.
Okay. Glenn?
Yeah. So for me, I'm using it in a similar way where I have AI or via Copilot pushing to me uh, client facing information that's out there in the web, right? So I'm client facing in my day to day job, and so I've built out a subscription where I'm getting information specifically on the clients in which my team leads, and so that I can understand what's most important on a Monday or Sunday as I start the week. The other thing that I do is have Copilot scan my calendar to understand what big meetings that I have in that week and how best to prepare for those meetings, whether that's internal with my team or external client facing. And so it really helps me prepare in a way that previously would just take me a ton of time to gather my thoughts and really build out the week, where this, in a matter of moments, I have clarity on where I need to be, how I should be thinking about things. And so it's just helped me. And I think Tarek might have said it, like it's essentially not only an executive assistant, but it also helps me um, be more strategic in my time. So I value this as a routine that I use to start my week.
All right. And so I get at this moment, we know that everybody on here is very versed in the different AI platforms and using AI. So let's get down to some more deeper questions. I'm curious, and Glenn, you mentioned that leading a team and leading people, um, you know, AI is getting to this space where 80% of a person's job is technical can be done by AI. And you're still going to have that 20% that's a human premium. Like, how do you, as a leader, or how do we need to think about that piece and the job that we're doing, that if 20% of our job is still going to be the human piece, then how do we make sure that we're still worth our salaries and what we're doing, so that we don't say that AI or technology replaces us, or that, hey, we're paid too much?
So how do we ensure that we're relevant?
Yes. How do you show that you're relevant with that 20%? Because if AI, if we're using AI to run emails, run our calendars, respond to people, draft everything, the human element pieces, that what a human is doing in their job at all different levels, the percentage is starting to decrease. So really what you're being paid for your salary is going to be the human piece that you provide to your job. So how does someone ensure that they are still showing up and worth their salary? And then you as a leader, like, how are you going to view that when we're looking at people like, hey, I know that this person, majority of what they do, they've been using AI. Are they overpaid? Are they underpaid? Like, how do you, like, what do they need to be doing to tell you, like, hey, yeah, you're worth your salary. You're worth the six figures or whatever I'm paying you. Because that 20% human piece is very valuable.
That's a great, okay, I got it. That's a great question. So for me, I'm client facing, right? And so I get to see in real time how people show up when the AI agent or whatever technology they're using is not present, right? So maybe in a different, I'm in a different position than most because I get to witness it. If you're not actually demonstrating the skill sets or delivering on the expectations of the role, then it's pretty clear, right? Like just based off of the type of work that I do. I would also say that while we are using AI, we are using technology. I think many of us have experience where we produce prompts and the information is not accurate, right? So it is critically important that we still do have a human interaction because we know that this technology is evolving on a day-to-day basis. And so for me, those are the two ways in which I continue to just kind of look at my job and what I do. But I'll turn it over to Drew and Tarek. They may have answers that'll build on that particular question.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll jump in on that. I guess one from a manager perspective, 'cause I was listening to a seminar that had to do with how AI is being adapted in the school system. And then they were saying that they're probably going to evolve to where it's okay to use AI for everything and anything outside of class, right? So when they come in class, then they're having discussions. So now you get a feel for what they're thinking and what's in their head. So I think that's as a manager, that's what you'll be able to observe a lot. Like as Glenn was saying, when he gets with his teams, he's having conversations with them. So it's not like they could just produce work behind the scenes and just live off that. So so that's from a manager perspective. The other part that you were alluding to, Dre, was the percentage of work that's being reduced of things that we're doing that we're having AI do. It's hard. I think a lot of companies are having a hard time calculating that, like how much AI is helping them right now, because you have employees that are um, not really telling you how much they're using it, right? So it's hard to calculate that when people are using AI and not really telling you. So that's just making it hard to gauge right now how more productive you're getting, or how more productive your organization is getting from that. So those are probably like the hardest pieces right now when it comes to uh, just measuring what impact AI is having on a company. And but to just skip to your original question, like how do you show your value from the human side? I think simply put, it's just the relationship building and the trust building. Like if you're doing, like sometimes in my role, I'm doing managing strategic partnerships. So to be able to go and build relationships with prospective clients or other stakeholders, that would be hard for AI to replicate.
Mm.
And yeah. So just thinking in that role, just getting out there, talking to people and having like real personal conversations. Like you could be talking about, your family, your kids, your wife, your parents, those conversations that we're able to have as humans, that real life experience that can't be replicated. And if you think about it, that's what I was really learning from our time in MSDL. A lot of times I would just jump into the work and want to execute. I never took the time. I wasn't taking the time as I should to just build a rapport with someone in a way and make a connection. So that's where I think in most roles, you have the opportunity to make a connection with somebody, whether if it's client, coworker, someone above, below, wherever they sit in the hierarchy of your organization, making those human connections through like sharing human life experiences, like family, you could
Mm.
is the advantage.
All right. Tar,
Yeah, no,
what's your thoughts?
excellent points. But I mean, it's really just to add to what to what Drew and Glenn is saying. Um, so we've been talking about AI, right? AI, artificial intelligence, right? AI it's a tool, right? It's not an individual that you go out and just send to do something, right? It's a tool, right? And tools are going to perform based on the inputs, right? So if you give the tool X information, the tool is only going to produce based on X information that it has received, right? It's not going to go beyond that. If you ask it a specific question or you prompt it in a specific way, right? Your prompt comes with a specific bias, just inherently because of who you are, right? So the tool is going to produce based on said prompt. Now, how humans in the loop, or why humans in the loop matter? It's because we have the expertise, right? So if you deploy, if I'm at home and I'm a DIYer and I'm asking, one of the LLMs to help me lay tile, as an example, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to lay tile based on what it's telling me, and I'm probably going to sync up with a YouTube video, right? But if I've been laying tile for 30 years, I see around the corners. I know where this might be off. I know where the video that I'm watching plus this LLM model, the information is giving me. I know where that information is not true, right? So I'm now able to
Mhm.
say, nah, if you do it that way, I mean, you can do it that way, but you're going to fix it again in 6 months. Or you can do it this way, the way I've done it for 30 years, and it's going to last you 10 years. You know what I mean? So you have the the human IP that can never be replicated, not at this point at least, right? By whichever model you look to use. Because until we get to AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, right? That's where the tool can actually think for itself and it's learning and it's reinforcement learning, etc. Right? It's basically a human at that point. Um, until you get to that point, we still have a gap in regards to what the tool is going to produce, right? Because the tool is only going to produce based on an input or a prompt. You get what I'm saying? So the human will always have value, right? Because we have the expertise. We know what this is about. We know how it should work. Um, if you want to think about AI, think about AI as math, right? 1 plus 1 is always going to equal 2. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4, right? It's going to be square in how it produces an output. And a lot of the reasons why I use all these different models is because I want to see how the models compete against each other, right? So I know if I drop a prompt here and I drop the same prompt in all 5 models and I get the same response generally, then I'm like, all right, I'm on the right path, right? But oftentimes what I get is I'll drop a prompt here, I'll drop the prompt here, and you know, I'll drop a prompt here to produce an output. I'll take the output, I'll drop it into um, another LLM, and I'll just say analyze this based on whatever criteria I have, and it'll literally tell me like, yo, there's some gaps here that you need to think about. You get what I'm saying? So I think AI is a tool that helps enhance the human's creativity, right? And if you have the expertise, right, you're limitless at this point with AI because you now could get as creative as you want to be because you can see around those corners. You know what I mean? You can see down the line. You know what's going to come. But for someone who has no idea what's happening, right, they're going to move based on the information that the AI is producing. Right. So there'll always be that human in the loop. And you talk about, you know, um, validating the role, right? Validating the pay or the compensation of your specific role. That's how your role is validated based on your level of expertise, and how you're able to guide whatever user might be using some sort of AI tool or the AI tool itself, right? The other piece is just data, right? Again, AI is trained on X data. The company you work for, the data that the AI tool might be producing might not know your company's proprietary information to that level, right? Because it just wasn't trained, right? Because oftentimes we don't know who's training this, and we don't know what data it's giving the AI tool, right? So, and there's huge value for humans, right? So that I think that the heightened sensitivity around AI coming for your job, it's not there's some gaps rather in the thinking, right? Because you have the innate expertise. And then when you move from the expertise to the soft element, what Drew was just talking about, right? The relational aspect of it, right? All you can do at that point is just say, hey, AI, Glenn has 2 kids. Write me an introductory note to Glenn considering he has 2 kids who are da 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 da. You still have to feed it. You get what I'm saying? Then it'll produce an output that you can then use, right? So for me, I don't look at it like AI is mission critical and it's gonna, kind of just obliterate things as is, right? It'll definitely like have an impact on things as is. But I think it's a net creative tool if you are willing to jump in it full fledged, right? I think Jensen Huang said it. Like AI is it's allowing us to think beyond a limitation that we've previously had. I mean, I might be paraphrasing him at this point, but his point was, right, if you're an engineer and you're trying to solve a problem and you needed a focus group to sit down and solve that problem, right? So you need to schedule time and sit with the people and figure out how your schedule might intertwine and then ask the right questions and iterate and reiterate. And this was going to take 6 months. You can now leverage AI as your focus group, right? And what happened over 6 months can now be done in what, a couple of hours, right? So for me, it's about the data, it's about the expertise, and then it's about the soft component in terms of the relationships.
I want to pull on that thread a little bit. You talked about data. You talked about using the different platforms to run different scenarios through. If the data you ran it through you ran it through each one of those LLMs, the Gronks, the Chads, the Clogs, and everything, and they came back and said, because earlier you talked about investing, or even investing or signing off on a good deal. If they all said terminate, but your gut said invest and move forward, which one are you going with, and why?
Good question. Good question. Really good question. I'll tell you why. Because if my gut says yes, I know something that the tool doesn't. That's oftentimes why your gut is telling you yes. You held some information from the tool, right? And the tool is basically responding based on the information that you've given it. That's oftentimes why it's gonna tell you like no. If you get a blatant hard no, it there's something that you withheld, right? So I would ask you would have to ask yourself, what am I withholding? What am I not telling this tool as to why in my gut I should go forward? If I've given this tool all of the information, right? Probably whatever it provides me is going to be well thought out enough to point me in a direction, right? So if you have a different gut feeling, in my view, I think something is being withheld from the tool itself.
That's a great answer. And it may be something like political or emotional, but if you prompted it in that way, it would use that in the decision-making process, and it might not say
Yeah.
terminate.
And honestly, like that's in my view, at least, and in my experience, I feel like that's the most prevalent quintessential issue, right? We prompt we prompt with a limited information, expecting it to produce a full output, right? When you prompt, a part of prompting, honestly, and people rarely do this, right? Is actually telling it how you feel at the time, right? Which is why when you're talking to the tool, is a lot more productive and a lot more accurate um, way of engaging as opposed to just typing, right? Because typing, you gotta kind of explain your happiness right now, like as to why you're happy, right? But if you're talking to but if you're talking to it over time, it kind of learns your voice. It learns when you're happy, how you talk when you're happy, right? It learns when you're hungry. It learns when when something's going on, your voice doesn't sound the right way. It learns when you're nervous. You got a big presentation. You might have the jitters a bit, right? It learns that. So this was somebody looked at me back in maybe 25, 24 at some point. They were just like, yo, talk to it. Talk to the tool. Just talk to it. I mean, why not at this point, right? So for me, I'm at that point now where it's just I'm gonna talk to it, man. You know what I mean? So we could hear what I'm saying. So I'm not missing anything in terms of the prompt, in terms of the output from the prompt. Sorry.
Yeah, I like that you said that because that's kind of where I am. I find myself trying to type something and I'm trying to be perfect. I'm trying to spell check myself and then I lose my actual thought of what I'm trying to get out. Versus if you just talk to it and just get it out, I think that's
Yeah.
a good insight there.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Um,
go on that. I could go on that all day. Not to hijack. I could go on it all day, right? Because I've run into the same issue of trying to type the perfect sentence, right? Now I just but your perfection is the enemy of progress, right? So it's just get a thought in there, man. Like, you know what I mean? Because you can always scroll back. You can always scroll back, right? So just get a thought in there, and then get the second thought in, and get the third thought in. At this point, I don't even go in looking to prompt. I just go in just like this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking X, Y, Z. I don't know why I'm putting it here, but I'm putting it here simply because I might need it in the future. Hold it, ingest it, it'll come back. If you see it come back, just kind of remind me that I did this.
You know what? Oh, go ahead, Drew.
No, go ahead, Glenn.
I was just gonna share. So when I prompt, I really don't care about the grammatical, uh, what the words look like. I'm just typing, but I will share. Like in the office setting, I have now moved to a place where I feel comfortable having a full conversation with myself and the tool, and so I appreciate that push because I will integrate that now into how I
Yeah.
operate in the work setting. So folks that work with me may or may not see me having a full-fledged conversation with the tool. And they made me think, thinking something up with me. But to your point, I've done it where I prompted, typing, and then I prompted via just talking and seeing different outputs when I'm, at home or, just kind of about during my day to day. But at work, I haven't done it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Two things. One is I think Tart was telling me this. There's a lot of leaders that recap their entire day. Like when they're driving home from work, they'll talk about everything that has happened. So they'll do it that way too if they're not recording all day, just to kind of keep a log in a journal of it. I forget if I heard it in a podcast or came from someone in this group. But so yeah, that's one thing. But the other thing, as you talked about, or Dre, you mentioned earlier about being careful about bias. Like if you're asking leading questions, it's highly likely you're going to get a biased answer. So I did see an example like this, and I'd like to get your opinion about it. You could ask, I saw an example where ask a leading question in one direction, then ask a leading question in the opposite direction, and ask a more neutral question of something that you're trying to get at, and then just look at all three of them. Usually the neutral one is going to have like the best answer for you, but so you can just kind of see
Good
those
technique.
differences and just compare them.
Yeah,
The
that's a
one
good
piece I'll
technique.
call out is just quickly, Jay, is the element of proprietary information, right? Just never forget, because this is what I don't do. Like I don't mix my professional, my company work with my personal, right? So I don't like to include anything from a professional business standpoint in my personal piece, right? If I'm talking client information or company proprietary information, I'm not doing that on a public Gemini cloud, right? That has to be done on your company's proprietary, because then there's just data restrictions and you don't want to get caught up in any potential thing that could transpire, right? So just want to highlight that piece, the data piece and the privacy component.
Yeah, it sounds like with AI, you know how you have your work phone and you have your personal phone. You got to
Yeah,
have your work AI and your personal AI because you
yeah,
don't
that's
you don't
true. That's
mix
true. That's exactly
church and state.
what it is, man.
Agree. That's very true. In my work, I've seen a ton of clients that are just using public tools with their confidential information, and that's extremely risky.
Yeah,
It's like
this is
right now there's no
yeah
rules, there's no
yeah
laws in place right now. So, but
yeah
could come back and hurt you later.
yeah. This is a question for the entire group. So whoever wants to jump in. Um, if you think about just how people are listening and using AI, it's becoming the new way of Googling. You don't go on Google and type an answer. You go into AI or whatever platform you use to type that question that you're trying to get something to. But if AI gives you the perfect answer, but it goes against your values, your morals, or even your legacy, like, do you hit delete or do you really reconsider your values, your morals, and your legacy because of what it spit out?
I'll answer. I'm a promise-driven leader. I'll move
Yeah,
forward.
that's good. That's good. Oh.
That's good. Anyone else?
Well, I think we're here as going back to promise-driven leadership. Uh, we're here to be change agents, right? Like,
Mhm.
so if we see things, I mean, we have to keep our integrity at all times. And but it kind of goes back to the question that you had on, or the last question you asked was, did we give it all the information about us? Does it know us well enough in order for it to answer in a way that considers how we feel about
Mhm.
things? So that may be it. But like if it doesn't have that and we're just asking a question and it doesn't know anything about us and we're faced with this dilemma, I would absolutely say you have to keep your integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that leans into well, the question was like, say
What was it?
you use your platforms, you ask AI, and it gives you the perfect answer, but that answer might go against your legacy, your morals, or just everything that's a part of you. But it's the perfect answer. Do you delete? Do you consider it? What do you do? And so I know Glenn said purpose driven. Drew said purpose driven. I don't know, Tarek, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
For me, it's not the perfect answer. That's easy, right? It's just not. It could be the perfect answer for someone. It ain't the perfect answer for me. I quite you know, it could hit on everything, but if it one you principled approach, right? You know what your principles are, right?
Yeah.
If it's allowing you to push back on
Yeah.
your own
And
principles,
timing.
ethics,
It's not
morals,
considering
it's not the
timing.
perfect
It might
answer.
not be the right time to do what it's asking you to do. You know, at work or personal. So yeah, it's just missing so much. And that's the thing I
Mhm.
think most people are struggling with right now. So it's a
Yeah,
good question to ask, Andre, because
yeah,
personally and professionally, people are getting faced with this where they're letting AI make decisions for a company, make decisions for projects, and it should be in this case more of a brainstorming. It should be challenging your thoughts.
yeah.
If you say, hey, this is what I feel and this is what I want, I think it's good that it would challenge you and make you rethink and reconsider. But at the end of the day, you're the person that needs to make the decision. That's the human in the loop, as you said.
I agree with that, right? So the promise-driven answer, certainly a little bit of tongue in cheek, but also tying us all together through the leadership program we were in. I mean, I think all of these questions, they have a common thread, right? Like I think Tarek talked about AI being a tool and simply that, right? A tool that you utilize in order to be better, make decisions. And I think someone else mentioned the fact that when you're trusting your gut, maybe you didn't provide all of the information. Drew just talked about it. If there if there is an answer that is not aligned with who you are from a value standpoint, that's not the right answer. And so you know, at least for me, right? My ethos
Yeah,
is easy to say that I don't take advantage of that answer.
Mhm.
yeah. And Drew, I'll ask you this: as you talk about just the human element, you can't prompt human to care. Like you can't prompt that.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you make sure you're staying connected to the human pulse of the people that you're working with, that are working up under you, that you're connected to? Because we can get so ingrained in data and technology so much that you might lose that human piece. Like, how do you stay? How do you stay in touch and stay with that human pulse?
Well, just to add AI into it, AI does. I mean, it helps me with the questions. Like as I'm thinking about my goals with the relationships that I have in the positions of the stakeholders that I'm dealing with. I put that into the LM, and then just ask these questions and try to find the right questions to ask when I'm connecting with them. If I'm doing an interview, stakeholder interviews. So it has helped me with that. And so I think it's more about just stating your goals. Like, what do you want out of your relationship with X person? I think AI could help you with those questions. But ultimately, you have to go out and do it. So making that time and scheduling those calls and meetups and spending time with the people that you want to build relationships with. Got to put in the time. So that's how I'm using it, personally and professionally. If I want to brainstorm questions, ask it that. But ultimately, have to make the time.
Well, you open up the door, and I'm gonna walk right through it. This is to the group, and if you feel comfortable, it's totally up to you. But who has used AI in their personal life as you think about interacting with in relationships? Like, are there examples that you use that's been beneficial? Like, how have you navigated that? Because I'll say for me, there's been a conversation I might have with the wife, and I realized it didn't go the way it should have went. And then I might go, plop that into AI, and I'll tell it to be non-biased, like give it from your point of view, and it'll tell me that I was wrong. And then other times it'll tell me that that I was right. Now, I don't know if I can share that with the with her. The AI said I was right, but I'm just curious. Like in your, you think in relationships and navigating those things and back and forth. Like, how have you used it, or have you used it?
Dre, let me answer this one first, and And I think the reason why I want to go first is because I think the others may have a completely different answer. So for me, I have not used it in that way. And while I think it's certainly an option, it's something I may consider. And we've talked about relationships. I value the human relationship piece. And I recently started to have therapy sessions, and I don't have them virtually, but I have them in person when where I'm connecting, and I can see the person face to face and be able to get a read and share, things that I'm either going through or that I'm seeking input. And so for me, it's that human connection, right? Like that, me
Yeah.
being able to express my emotions, look at someone face to face that I truly value, that has helped me be able to answer or give the answers, or at least kind of build momentum and improving, that I don't know that I could get. I'm sure I could, but I at this point haven't felt as comfortable doing. And so for me, it's the connectivity and the human piece that I value at this moment.
Yep. And I have two points for that. One is I'm just too private, too private to put that into the system, you know. And yeah, so I hesitate to do that. Anything personal, it's all been professional. Everything that I put in the LLMs have been just professional questions and information, nothing personal. Maybe a little bit of stock stuff and things like that. But the other point is I don't want to. I think sometimes doing that, you're robbing your friends of being there to support you. Like that
Mm.
connection you're able to make with a friend. I call you on the phone. I say I'm having this issue with my wife, girlfriend, whoever, mother, daughter, and then being able to connect with somebody that way. Like you're giving them the opportunity to be there to support you. I think we'll miss out on that if we just go to, even if it's perfect, if we only go to AI to do that, we're going to be missing out on a lot of those other human connections and friendships. So
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. To add my view of just technology, period, is that it's math, right? So it's science. So it's like it's square per se, right? It's 1 plus 1. It's trained to produce outputs. The soft component of a relationship, it's gonna give you an answer based on a
great.
book that it read, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's trained on material that was written and produced by X person, right? And said material could be anything, right? So that when you ask it for something from a relational aspect, you have to then pressure test, how is this tool trained to be able to provide me with accurate information for me to feel confident, like, oh my God, I feel better, right? Or is it just a, kind of self-gratifying element to say, okay, AI said I was right, right? Because that's and I like it's just the reality of it, because it's not a trained um person. It's not a trained counselor. It's not a trained in how to care for or understand people and peopling, right, and the emotional swings and the ups, downs, etc., right. um it's not necessarily trained for that. To a degree, it's trained in that, but it's trained on books, not on actually sitting on a couch across from somebody and have them experience trauma or love or hurt, pain, and then kind of understand the facial expressions, how to adjust and be agile in the moment. Like, it's not trained for that, right? If you ask me something,
Mm.
I'm going to give you an answer. AI never tells you I don't know.
Yeah.
Whichever tool you use, it never says I don't know, right? Right? So if it's whatever you ask, it's giving you an answer. Like, the sky's blue, no, the sky's green, right? I'm giving you an answer because I'm programmed to provide an answer, right? You have to pressure test that answer, but you can't. The pitfalls, one of the pitfalls that you can't fall into is to just expect the answer to be a real, truthful answer, right? Because then the tool becomes something totally different, right? Um, it's in my view, I mean, of course, people are going to use it for these things, right? People are going to use it for coping mechanisms and all of the above, especially in this era where people are more so confined to their environments. People are going out and being in the public less, right? Like that sort of thing, right? When you see this as the wave, of course, people are going to use it for that. But in my view, it just hasn't been trained with people or sat in front of a person or leveraged someone hurt to console them, right? Or drive compassion or empathy or like none of that. It's been trained on all of that from a
Theoretically.
book. Right. So I can't, for me, and I'm not saying that it's not right. I'm not saying that it's not right. I'm just saying pressure test the information. I don't know what's trained it because I'm not exposed to the training material. I just know it's a litany of stuff. Right. So for me, I wouldn't discuss anything personal, right? Because it all comes full
And for
circle to
most people,
that.
I think that
It's
just jump
math.
on any AI. It's usually agreeable unless you train it to not be agreeable and to push back on you. So, you know,
I told y'all earlier, I was pumping the stock portfolio, like pulling different information and pumping it through 5 different models. I'm going back and forth, 5 different models, right? And I asked all 5 models the same question. I said, is this portfolio stupid? All right. And all 5 came back and said, no, right? No, it's not stupid. Like all 5. I'm like, okay, it's not stupid. I guess he said it's not stupid, right? But then I rephrased the questions. I said, okay, so what should I watch out for? Well, you should probably watch out for redundant positions in different sectors, yada yada. And then they start calling out, right? So it's how you rephrase the question. It's how you kind of because it's built to also not make you lose confidence in yourself regarding just who you are as an individual. So it's always gonna say, "Oh man, that's brilliant. Oh man, you're love. Oh my God, look at you. Oh, wonderful question. Excellent." It's always built to to kind of keep you there, right? It's complimenting you the entire time. So when you understand like it's a model and it's trained on that, and the people who are training it understand psychology, right? And they understand how to keep the human there, which is why social media, right, is so addictive. And you see the cases of people winning against social media companies or whatnot. When you understand that it's the same people that's training this, right? These are the people who are, and they have no. I doubt it. I won't say they have nefarious means by any chance. I don't think that's the case. I just think they're training a tool to help you in the best way, and they don't want the tool to demean you, right? But in trading, it's to not demean you. It's also you got to also understand it's always going to give you a positive response to keep you there and make you feel good about being there.
that's good.
I,
That's
I'm gonna
good.
kick this to Glenn because as we talk, we're on this topic of like, hey, we won't use it in this space. Are there any other non-negotiables, Glenn, from your point of view, to say, hey, I won't use LLMs or let the algorithm have a say so?
Yeah, so I go through a daily routine that has nothing to do with AI. So when I'm operating my most efficient way, it's wake up with prayer, meditation. It's I write in my journal, I stretch, right? Like like AI cannot replace 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 those things, right?
Right.
And so when I'm kicking off my day with that, I'm at my best functioning self. And so non-negotiables with I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a question to the group. Is AI involved in meditation and prayer? Like I don't know, but like I wouldn't I'm not using it in that way.
Mhm. I'm sure it's been trained on it, right? Like, so if you could imagine, if you can imagine something and you can imagine a
Yeah.
book being written on that thing, AI has been trained on that, right? So I'm sure it's been trained on it, right? But at the end of the day, this is the value, right? I can call Drew on Monday morning, Glenn on Tuesday morning, and Dre on Wednesday morning, and ask one question: "What are you thinking, man? What's up with you?" And I'm gonna get 3 different vibes, right? Like I'm not picking up the phone and calling. To Dre's point earlier about Dre and Glenn both mentioned the relational aspect of it. AI is not doing that, right? So the human component still exists. And yeah, to Dre's point, to Drew's point, you bond with people just by like picking up the phone. So yeah, For me, it's a scientific tool, man. It's mechanical, and it doesn't understand. It doesn't fully understand emotion, compassion, sympathy, empathy. It does not. It's trained on it.
Yeah.
Well,
Going to mathematical 2 point, just whatever could be verified in many ways. So like I use it a lot for note taking, so I could go back and check it right after. Like, oh, kind of missed this, or that wasn't the point. This doesn't need to be in my notes. And this helped me do a lot of my work faster in making a lot of my work just look better. I have the content hasn't changed, but like for a PowerPoint slide deck, things really just start looking better. So it has made my work better. But I just took a break from social media for the last I think it's probably been about 5 weeks right now. So I got this thing where I don't like to feel dependent on something. I mean, so when um AI, I wouldn't, there's certain aspects of my life that I don't want to be fully involved in. It just to add on to,
Yeah.
everything that Glenn or emphasize everything that Glenn just shared. I feel the exact same way. Some stuff I want to make sure I'm just just checking myself, double checking myself and making sure I'm thinking for myself and I'm not being dependent on a tool to you know, push me to where I'm thinking. Because I don't know, like me being, not being a doomsday person, but what we know that now a lot of them are gonna get some ads. Some ads are coming to ChatGPT and other places. So you just don't know how it's going to be used in the future. I want to make sure I can still operate and do what I'm doing in life without being super dependent on it in my personal life, at least.
yeah, yeah.
hmm I'll add one component. I'm gonna add one component, right? Because I think this is hugely important, right? And I think I mean, you guys have touched on it, but I don't think it's talked about enough, right? And that's why I position just the entire tech landscape. It's tools, right? It's a product, which means that it's there to help and assist, right? Now, if the tool is allowing you to, if the tool is a source of
Right.
regression for individuals,
Mhm,
then
mhm,
you got to
mhm.
check yourself on that, right? Because if and when I say regression is if the tool is not allowing you to limit your own critical thinking, then that's a problem, right? The tool is there to allow you to critically think about things, right? So and you have to like force yourself to enable to kind of get that
Yeah,
out of yourself, right? If you're not using the tool to advance certain things, then there's a huge gap in regards to, you know,
yeah.
the potential of what the tool can produce versus
Mhm.
what you're actually using it
That's
for,
good.
right? So you have to
Yeah.
address that delta. You know what I mean? So from the like and why I love it all, right? Is because I mean, of course, I wouldn't say love, but why I appreciate it all is because one, I'm now thinking critically about
Yeah.
how I prompt because I understand the limitations of a specific prompt, right? I understand how the output might be limited by the input. So now I'm looking to craft my prompt in a specific way. And it's not a bad thing. We talked about earlier, right?
Mm.
It's not a bad thing, right? Because at the end of the day, you keep doing this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. By the seventh month, oh, you're sharp. You can articulate a crisp
But
sentence. You get what I'm saying? So there's a component of the tool that helps you just
Yeah.
sharpen yourself, right? I just want to make sure that we're leveraging it for that. Like I want to highlight that and bring that to the
yeah,
surface of the
Tark, I think you
conversation.
bring up something that's important. I think regression is going to happen, right? Like the more and more you integrate, regression is going to happen. We're all of a certain age where at one point in your head, you had multiple telephone numbers stored.
Mm.
I'm not going to put anyone on the spot, right? But how many numbers do you know
Right.
by heart? And the reason you don't is because we have a tool that has replaced that space in our head, right? You think about being able to
hmm
navigate through a city, right? Like a lot, back in the day, a lot of us knew how to get from point A to point B without any sort of device. And now most of us don't because we are reliant on a device. And so while we may say we don't regression, we don't want it to happen, it is going to occur because we are utilizing this tool as often as we are. I just don't know what that thing, what technique is.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Naturally, right? The idea though with said regression, what you mentioned, right, is to free up
Agree.
capacity to
Agree.
think more creatively, right? To elevate the intellectual capital that we have because we have something that's doing the day to day,
Agree 100%.
right?
The
The
one thing
rudimentary
though, that if you
tasks.
think about
Yeah.
regression,
A
and
lot.
Drew touched on this a lot, the one thing that I hope that doesn't regress is that relational human to human interaction. And so that's the part that, you know, as we think about like everything we've talked about today, like that part is a bit scary to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's interesting that Drew brought up social media and stepping away for 5 or 6 weeks. I can see this starting to happen where people are going to say, "Hey, I am fasting from AI for like 2 months because I feel like I'm too dependent or I feel like I'm forgetting things because things are so simple because I've been so tied to AI." So you're probably gonna hear these social media fasts, and then you're gonna hear people talk about, yeah, I'm fasting from AI for the next 2 or 3 months. Because they might start to feel that type of way. Last question. This is to the group, and we've kind of talked about. Oh, go ahead.
I think it's a wrong move. I think it's a wrong move to fast from it, right? And it is. I think it's a wrong move. I just do. And I just give a quick. Like you guys remember when? Let me ask you. Not to put anyone on the spot, but how many people really understand cloud and cloud
Yeah,
technology? Right? And I'll be frank, man. In my community, in our
yeah,
community, it's not many, right? Um, and I remember life before cloud. Like I legit remember what life
Yeah.
was like before the element
yeah,
of the cloud coming in. Right
yeah,
now, I can't survive without the cloud, bro. I save something on my phone. I put it in my laptop. It's there. I ain't got to worry about it. Like it's
yeah,
just made things easier.
yeah.
Like it is what it is, right? Um, but there was a time when cloud was introduced, right? And there was a group of individuals who got on top of it and said, I'm gonna learn this and I'm gonna master this and I'm gonna know what cloud is about, right? Right. And I'm gonna be cloud proof. I'm gonna know this inside out. And those are the folks actually who are at the point now who truly like started to build out AI because they understand how AI functions in the
Mm,
cloud, right? We're at the same inflection point where a new technology is being introduced and it's so nascent to where we all can learn it and we all can be really strong in it, but we just got to be committed to using it, right? And leveraging it and going beyond L1, right? Going to L2, L3, L4, right? Start talking agentic. I mean, Claude just updated the app with a new function called Dispatch, where you're able to access your desktop from your actual
yeah,
from
I
the
heard
Claude
that.
on your
Yeah,
phone, right? So you're right? And I've downloaded the desktop copilot, the Claude piece, right? So if if we aren't gonna lose the tool, then we're never gonna be at the forefront of the technology, right? And then like kind of same cycle, right? 10 years from now, folks are like, okay, AI is here and we gotta use it, you know what I mean? Because I mean, you're not buying a phone right now that's not on the cloud. Like it just isn't happening. It's ubiquitous with life. So in my view, don't take the time off and be, oh, I'm just I'm AI'd out at this moment. Nah, that shouldn't be the approach, right? It should be, how can I then change this tactic or my strategy to approach AI in a different
mm,
way, right? How else? Because again, it's unlimited creativity. Unlimited creativity. So you're limited by how
There you go.
creatively you can
No,
think
I
about
mm.
these
I
things.
agree with that. To build on it, for me, the more I use it, the more freer I become with things that really matter to me. Like it's interesting how when I was
Hmm.
maybe not diving as deep, actually prior to some of the conversations we had last year, I realized I have a lot more, free time, right? By utilizing
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think most of the time, if anybody's using it and they're, losing skills, they're probably using it wrong. So it may be more user error. Like some stuff you don't want to be tasked with remembering you're doing right now. And yeah, does free you up. And I definitely noticed the difference over the last 5 months too, digging into it more. In paying attention to it on different levels. Just thinking about it like from stock, business point of view, what the future looks like, and then just trying to apply it. That's really where I've been trying to spend time, eh, really on all those levels, but trying to use it more as well.
So, final question, and it touches on what we've been talking about just recently in the past couple seconds. With this evolution of AI and it's starting to expand and grow, how do we ensure our non-tech veterans aren't left behind? Yeah.
Non-tech
So those
veterans.
people who they're veterans in the game as far as their career, their lives, but they're not deep
Oh,
into technology when it comes to like AI.
Yeah, the AI.
okay. I was kind of misperceived the question. I thought when you mentioned veterans, you were talking about like, you know,
Yeah,
military, you know.
yeah.
Uh,
Senior leaders, yeah.
The OGs,
Or
the
yeah,
OGs,
yeah,
the
yeah.
OGs.
The OGs in the game. Yeah.
Elders.
um,
I
yeah. I mean, you guys want to go? I mean,
yeah
there's no easy way to say
yeah.
this, man. Like,
I think I know what you're gonna say, right? Like if you just look, it's people of a certain age that today you got to turn on the television for them, right? Like because they don't know how to.
name of the
They
game.
can't navigate the
Yeah.
controller.
Yeah.
And so as much as
Yeah, name of the game.
yeah, as much as I tell them this is the button you need to push to turn the television on, they still don't get it. So
I'll put it to you, and this sounds like, I mean, Glenn, you're absolutely right. There ain't no real other way to say it. It's like the OGs have to also want it.
yeah,
Yeah.
You have to want it. I can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself, right? I'm gonna want it for you, and I'm gonna be here like, yo, like, but you gotta show some yearning, something to say, okay, I'm here for this, right? Um, I don't think it's a leave anyone behind situation, right? I think I think I think AI is going to permeate. I think it permeate all of our lives so much to where no one will be left out, and to a degree, you'll be using it. Whether you call a, a company and you're no longer talking to a person because you're talking to some sort of technology, right? A voice on the phone who's just handling your business, right? Who's just making it easier for you because they recognize you might be deficient in terms of technology or understanding a specific thing, right? So I think it's gonna impact our lives. I don't think anyone's gonna be able to say I'm not involved. But to my earlier statement, OG's gonna have to want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm seeing OGs using it like over 70. Like if you want to
Yeah.
throw it, to that age range. I was I was in Walmart and I saw this couple and they were definitely in their 70s and they were working on some like home improvement project, and he had the phone out and he's talking to it and he's trying to figure out which tools to purchase and what to do. But then his wife said to him, it's like, don't waste your time with that. so so I don't know. He's like, no, I'm trying. So he was trying. He was trying. So, you have two different camps in that. And then, but I'll even say my stepfather, he works works for this boutique marketing company, and he does a lot of graphic design and different marketing work, and he's using it all the time. Like me and him can have the conversation about it, and
Yeah.
he's plus 70. Um,
Yeah.
so they're using it because they know, at least in his case, he knows he has to get good with this. And to him, to your points earlier, it's another tool. He used every 10 years he was learning and adopting a new tool. This is just another tool that he's using, and he's not afraid of it at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I think
don't
you.
view it as
I
a.
think.
Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. Now, yeah. Drew raises a great point, right? The element of need, right? Because the question is, will our OGs need this tool,
Mm.
right? Um, I think if there's a need, we'll be there for them. Like I don't think there's a question there, right? And I think there's a need. If there's a need, you'll see them, to Drew's point, using the tool, right?
Yeah.
So you have the element of need. Like if there's no need, right, to what you said, his wife said, don't don't fool with that, right? She doesn't view it as if there's a need. So that element also plays a part. I didn't mean to cut you, Glenn.
No, you're good. I'm good. I no need to build.
All right. So with that, we're going to give last words. And so, Glenn, I'll let you give any last words you want to share with the people this week. And then we'll go over to Drew and then end out with Tark.
Yeah, I mean, my final statements are essentially this, right? Like AI is it's upon us. It's critically important that we engage with it, utilize it as a tool to be successful, but certainly not forget the human interaction or relationships that we should all be building and cherishing upon. With that, I appreciate you, Dre, for letting me be on this week.
Awesome.
Yes. AI, yeah, you can't be scared of AI. I think if anybody's listening to this and trying to figure out what they're working on or what they're going to do about AI, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger. It's going to double and triple its uses every year. And I adopted it, and I'm usually not an early adopter of any technology, and I'm all in on learning and getting better at AI. In all aspects of it. But of course, as you're navigating your way in your career and professionally, yeah, don't forget about the skills that you have that AI at this point cannot replicate, and that's you're really navigating like ambiguity, going into workplaces and just figuring things out that are not already designed and prompted for you, right? So that's sort of skills we have right now. But overall, yeah, thank you for having me, and hope we contributed something to this conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, Dre. And as we were sitting here, I was thinking, like, what's a good way to close this, right? Considering I'm a Chuck's guy, right? So I just got up, I grabbed
Okay.
Chuck's, right? Um, because so you look at this, right? This wasn't designed by AI. This is what did I say? This is longevity. This is simplicity, right? This is versatility. This is your regular navy blue truck, right? It's gonna be here. It's gonna last. 20 years from now, they'll still have a navy blue truck, right? This was designed by AI, right? So this is your off-white truck, whatever the case may be, right? It won't be here 20 years. You get what I'm saying? This is us. This is the human element of this all, right? This is gonna live, right? AI is just one technology just gonna be here for a component of time over the next few years, right? And it might, and it not might, it will change how we interact, but we're gonna build up on it. We're gonna build up on it. So for me, it's immerse yourself in what's coming, right? Of course, don't violate your principles, your values, right? Don't necessarily go beyond what you're comfortable with at the moment, but do challenge yourself and do challenge the reasons why you might be uncomfortable, right? Do challenge all of the thinking, the old thinking that you might have had around AI. I'm in it every day, and I know organizations are using it to advance their processes. Companies are AI native companies at this point, right? Where all they focus on is technology. It is the agentic side of the technology. Sorry, but yeah. I mean, not to be too wordy with it. I just think it's a product, it's a tool, it's here to elevate our creativity. It's here to essentially give us that limitless capability that we might have had. And we just gotta leverage it, just gotta use it, you know? Um, our relationships aren't gonna go anywhere, right? The AI will never step in between all four of us. Never. It's just not like none of us will ever make that happen, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if we continue to leverage the tool and start sharing the knowledge between ourselves, right, we'll all kind of rise. That tide will rise together. So appreciate you, Dre. Great conversation, fellas. Looking forward to having it again.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I thank you all for joining. Tarek, Drew, Glenn, for coming on. We're going to have another one come up soon. So this is the first of many episodes. I appreciate you all coming on here, just talking about just AI and leadership and where things are going to be and where things are. And the key thing I want people to remember this week is it's a tool. You heard it multiple times from several brothers on this call, on this podcast, is that AI is a tool. It's a machine that handles logic, but you own your legacy. You own who you are. You own your relationships, and relationships is what is going to be built upon that legacy. So I'm Dre Hub. This is Sneakers, Cars, Leadership. Again, Tarek, Drew, Glenn. We had KP for a couple seconds. So next time we get on, we'll have them for longer. But I appreciate you all, and you all have a good week. Talk to you later.